Okay, so my last previous post recently, most concurrent and most up to date posting about gaming was a little bit misleading and a little too passionate. So I'm going to try to break it down into concrete fundamental building blocks of how to approach coding and designing the video games. So first of all, you can define what type of games you have. You have 2D games, you have 3D games, you have shooters, you have racing games, you have sports games, you have RPG games, you have Dungeons and Dragons style games, turn-based games, you have role-playing games, you have third person, you have first person, you have mystery and puzzle games, you have horror games. So you can define a game like that. And then you can look back and see how these games are traditionally made and also do some research, like go around asking professionals from those games what concepts they use, what did they think about, what challenges did they need to overcome, um, what objectives did they try to reach when designing these games, what were the expectations they had. So do some research like that, and then go about from ground zero. So start with like the buttons, what buttons are gonna do what, and how you're gonna remind the user which buttons do what throughout the game. Because people don't play your game 24/7. They play your game, then they take a week off, then they come back to it, and they forgot what buttons do what. So you need to have nice reminders of what the buttons do, and then you need to have natural flowing commands of which buttons are expected to do what. This is a part of UI that's universal. There are universal laws to what you expect a button to do and what the icon should look like. Like left thumbstick is always generally move and right thumbstick is look around. You would never invert those two. So these can apply to all the buttons. Like X is almost always reload. The button on the left is almost always reload. The map is almost always used with the D-pad or the settings button on the controller. These always open the map. So universal controls like that, and then reminders for the special buttons. And then the buttons need to be programmed to actions for 3 reasons. 1, they need to be aesthetic. So they need to look good. Not too much. A lot of video games today, they do too much. You press a button to attack, and the guy winds up, and all the elements of the earth swing up from the ground, and the wind swirls around, and rays shine down from the stars, and he swipes his sword. That's a little too much for a basic attack. Don't do too much. Otherwise, it's just make it, but that doesn't mean you can slack off. You can still pay enough attention to the coding procedure where you make it so fluent and so effortless without too much bimbo jimbo hayakaka graphics. Not too much bimbo jimbo effects, but very smooth, very elegant, very aesthetically realistic and fantastical at the same time. You can still achieve that with a lot of effort without the special effects, the bimbo jimbo mumbo bumbo. So that's the aesthetic part of when you perform a move, an event in the game. Then you have the latency of that, the frame rate. So when you perform your attack, how much percentage of that move is based on just looking good versus how much percentage of that is actually performing an action that's going to interact with whatever you're trying to do. So if you're attacking, when does the collision happen? When does some change happen with what you pressed and which actually interacts with the environment or the other opponents in the game. That's number 2. And number 3 is the back end. What in fact happens? Poison damage, fire damage, critical strike, buffs. You start attacking, you get more powerful as you attack. You get weaker and fatigued as you attack. Nothing happens, which is what happens in 99% of video games. You keep attacking the same way over and over again, and nothing changes. That's boring. That's lame. That's one-dimensional. Make something happen. You get adrenaline, and you attack faster. You get fatigued, and you need to switch different types of attacks. Make something happen. Not just your same lame old ass, like a fucking zombie, just going like this for half an hour. It's boring. So you need those 3 things. It's got to be aesthetic. It's got to have frame rate data when what occurs. And it's got to have a back end of what is actually... And the back end is the easiest, man. That's the easiest. And that's the most widely neglected area of coding ever. The back end. It's literally one fucking line. Like, increase damage. Increase health. Add this. Add that. It's one fucking line. Whereas when you code the graphics, you got to do all the meshing and everything like that. So those are the 3 things of how you would code the buttons. Then you have the menus after that. So the menus can't be too much. And this also goes with the features. You can't have too much features. And they need to be memorable. It's so fucking simple, man. It's so fucking simple. Like, you can have 4 features. And you unlock them within maybe 5 hours of playing the game. You've unlocked all 4. And then the game becomes eternally fun. Rather than you have fucking 55 features and the first 34 do nothing and the last 20 do somewhat a little bit, but to get to the last 20 you have to play for 50 hours. Make 4 memorable features. Don't waste your time coding random features and then you got to put that into a menu. So it's one thing you have built your features. It's another thing the way you communicate these options to your user. When your user logs in to play the game, they don't know what all the options are in the game. You have to provide that to them with menus and teach them. And so you need a way to teach them. And if you're too complicated, you're not even going to be able to teach them, let alone have them understand those things and implement those things. Some people, well, the hardcore guys who have no lives and play crappy games, they'll always understand. But the regular cool guys like me won't have a fucking clue. Because we don't give a shit about 10,000 features that don't impact my quality of gaming at all. So you want to make memorable upgrades. Like every time I coded a game at home, I always had memorable upgrades, like lifesteal. Why is there no lifesteal? Lifesteal is at like 1%. Make that shit 25%. Make it 25% lifesteal. What the fuck is 1% lifesteal gonna do? You find a pair of boots. They provide 1% movement speed. Who gives a shit? Why does that even exist? What the hell is 1% movement speed gonna do to me? Make it 30% movement speed. There's so much quality things to design and quality features to input that you're spending time putting in bullshit features. Evasion. Make evasion. Make status proof. Make resurrection. Make reincarnation. Make extra mana. Make cooldowns. Make HP boosts. Make experience boosts. Make gold boosts. Make, all the quality features. There's so many you could code. Make range boosts. Make area of effect boosts. There's so much good ones you can make. What the hell is the point of making all this crap bullshit? If you want us to fucking work for it, find a different mechanism, underlying concept to progress through the game rather than just giving us fucking boots of leather which provide 1 movement speed. Then you gotta open the backpack. Then you gotta check the stats. Then you gotta open another menu, your equipment menu. Then you gotta equip these shitty fucking boots, and you have leather boots, and the other boots were cloth boots. What the fuck, you know? It's bullshit. That's not fun. That's not fun. That's retarded. It's retarded, bro. It's retarded. What else then? You need a core mechanic of the game. So you need a core mechanic. If you're a first-person shooter, the aiming has to be solid. The aiming, timing of the bullets, and timing of the reloads. That's your core concept. If you're a Diablo sword, third-person attacking RPG type game, the moving around and core attacks, left-click mouse button, right-click mouse button, have to be solid for all the classes. Mage, rogue, barbarian, whatever. Melee or ranged or wizard. That's the 3 classics that have been around since for the past 30 years. So your core concept has to be there. That's got to be the core concept. And then you have the storyline and the flow of the game. So as you progress, what do you unlock? And then you have the little sprinkled on top cutscenes, and you can make a full complete game without any cutscenes. You can make just like some animations. That's how they made games in the past, and you can still make it rewarding. You could get a storyteller to write your game and make the most interesting story with real human emotions and adversity that you have to overcome and love and themes like that in the game. And you don't need to pay $100 million to A-list actors to fucking act in your game or whatever, you know? You don't need that. That's the cherry on top. You can make it even more exciting without that. You can do it with that as well, but you can also do it without that. So storytelling is a part of the game. That doesn't mean you have to provide movie-style cutscenes every 5 minutes. You can still storytell and storytell throughout the game. The levels you design, the levels don't have to be 100 gigabytes of space to load one level. The levels can be intricate and interesting without being overly special effect wise and cinematical. You can have the sky a different color. You can have a forest. You can have a river. You can have a mine. You can have an open field. You can have objects blocking the way. You don't need to have some sort of space solar flare from the sun and moon and whatever. You know, you can just have simple basic things that change from level to level and change as you progress throughout the story and reflect what the characters are feeling and where they are within their path within the story. You go to a lair, you go to a dungeon, you go to a town, and the town's not too fucking millions of places to explore. You go to a castle, it's just a castle. One castle. Where in the world do you have a castle that's part of a town with 50 other fucking castles in it? Where in the world do you have that in the real world? Where did they build a castle which was also like 50 other fucking castles other than the Empire of fucking Rome or the Egyptian Empire or the Greek Empire? Where do you have 20 temples all in the same location? That's called a country, not a village. You go to the city and you got like 9 different towers to explore. Don't make sense. You're walking around, you don't know what's where, you don't know anything. And you're not gaining any experience as you're unlocking these things. It's literally just spending time walking around for your own mental awareness of what's going on. You're not gaining experience, you're not gaining gold, you're not gaining levels, you're not gaining anything. You're just walking around the town. It's nice to look at, but it doesn't have to be so expansive for you to progress through. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, y'all are fucking hopeless. That was my layman's term for how you can help structure your games. You need Jesus. You really need Jesus. Because your games are trash. The games are straight ass. Straight ass. And then I made a whole bunch of documents documenting all this. So, yeah, that's my little 2 cents. The game's got to be interactive in the end. And it's got to be engaging, compelling, interesting, exciting, and aesthetically good with graphics. Like, ooh, ah, you know, something. That's what a game is. A game is not real. A game is virtual. So virtually, it's got to be seamlessly integrated with the fanatical and the reality-based perception of what we witness and expect it to be. Okay, so peace. Design some AAA games. I know you're gonna go about spending a $400 million budget and then a $200 million marketing budget, and it's gonna be the same crap, just with more cutscenes and more cinematics and the core concept. And it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a 10 out of 10. People are gonna review it and rate it, but the core concepts are gonna be a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10, because you just don't know. You just don't know. You just don't know. I'm making a game with 2 buttons, a joystick and 2 buttons, and the core concept is gonna be there. And watch how addicting it's gonna be. Watch how addicting it's gonna be. 2 buttons, that's it, and a joystick. Nothing else. No joystick with 49 fucking inputs and modifiers and everything like that. No, just 2 buttons and a joystick. That's it. And the core concept's gonna be there. And it's gonna go viral like that. Like that. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Buy it in stores 2025.